Drive-by shooting at Brighton Le Sands, all somehow managing to dodge the gunfire.
Staring down the barrel of a would-be killer's gun, he's masked, hooded and wearing white gloves.
By day, Sylvan Singh was a rising Sydney lawyer, fresh from Western Sydney University and practicing at his father's Parramatta firm, Redline Legal. By night, police allege, he was tied to one of Sydney's deadliest crime networks. His double life came crashing down on May 25, 2025, when gunmen opened fire on his Toyota Hilux in Granville, killing his passenger, alleged Alameddine associate Dawood Zakaria, and sparking fresh fears of Sydney's gangland wars. Investigators later accused Singh of masterminding a brutal 2024 kidnapping, linking him to the $5 billion illicit tobacco trade fueling nationwide violence. Arrested in September 2025, Singh now faces charges of ransom, drug supply, and directing a criminal group, a scandal shaking Sydney's underworld. Stick with us as we break it all down, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into stories like this. The respectable face. On paper, Sylvan Singh looked like the picture of success. A young lawyer, freshly graduated from Western Sydney University, admitted to practice in 2023, and already working at his father's Parramatta law firm, Redline Legal. The firm's website called him a passionate criminal lawyer who loves criminal law and often appears in various courts around Sydney. It described him as ethical, clear, and professional. Outside the courtroom, he was painted as someone who enjoyed traveling and discovering new places. From the outside, it was the perfect immigrant success story, following in the footsteps of his father, Ajay Singh, and carving his own path in Sydney's legal world. But police would later allege that behind this polished image was something far darker. The night everything changed, May 25, 2025, was an ordinary Sunday for most people in Sydney. But for Singh, it would mark the violent collapse of his carefully built image. Around 5:10 p.m., he sat behind the wheel of a Toyota Hilux, waiting at a red light on Woodville Road in Granville. Beside him was 32-year-old Dawood Zakaria, a man police linked to the infamous Alameddine crime network, one of the most feared groups in Sydney's underworld. Two more men sat in the back, and in that moment, every person in that car was a potential target. Then it happened. A Mercedes rolled up and opened fire. Bullets tore through the quiet street, riddling the Hilux and striking both Singh and Zakaria. What should have been an ordinary Sunday drive had just turned into a scene ripped straight from Sydney's gangland wars. The aftermath of violence. When paramedics and police arrived, the scene was nothing short of chaos. Singh had been hit but was still alive, clinging on despite serious injuries. His passenger, Dawood Zakaria, wasn't as lucky. He died from his wounds, another name added to Sydney's mounting toll of gangland killings. The two men in the back somehow escaped without a scratch, but their relief didn't last long. Police searched the Hilux and found a firearm, landing both of them in handcuffs. Not long after, a call came through about a car fire in Maryland's west. Officers raced over and found a Mercedes burned down to its shell. It was a textbook gangland move: torch the getaway car, wipe away the evidence, and vanish. This wasn't random. Detective Superintendent Jason Box made it clear
that everyone in that vehicle was potentially an intended target.
This was a targeted and directed attack. But one remark from Box left reporters stunned. When asked if Singh was known to police, he replied, "Known to police for his association, for who he represents." That cryptic answer hinted at a double life that was only beginning to unravel. The dark allegations emerge. While Singh lay in a hospital bed, detectives were piecing together a case that would blow apart the clean-cut image he'd built. Their trail led back to November 23, 2024, months before the Granville shooting, when police alleged Singh wasn't just brushing shoulders with Sydney's underworld, but actively pulling the strings. That night, a 31-year-old man stopped in Granville to make a call. Out of nowhere, three men armed with baseball bats surrounded him. They tied him up with cable ties, forced him into a car, and drove him to a property in St. Mary's. What happened next reads like something out of a crime thriller. Police claim he was beaten, tortured, and held for ransom. And at the center of it all? Detectives allege it was Singh, directing the entire ordeal through encrypted messaging apps like some criminal puppet master. The victim's brother paid an initial ransom, but the demands didn't stop. When the kidnappers showed up in a Panania park to collect a second payment, chaos broke out. In the end, the victim managed to escape, battered but alive, treated for a black eye, deep cuts to his head, and wounds to his hands. The web of connections. According to police, Sylvan Singh wasn't just a lawyer with questionable friends, his alleged ties cut straight into the heart of Sydney's underworld. Investigators link him to the Alameddine crime network, a group NSW police have called one of the city's largest drug trafficking empires. At their peak, they were said to be pulling in close to $1 million every week. The Alameddines have been at the center of Sydney's gangland bloodshed, locked in a brutal war with their longtime rivals, the Hamza family. That feud has already claimed lives across Western Sydney, leaving the streets littered with bodies. But this isn't some small-time crew. The Alameddines are a highly organized operation with their hands in everything: drug supply, weapons trafficking, kidnappings, extortion. Their empire even stretches into the billion-dollar illegal tobacco trade, a racket so profitable it's drawn the attention of counter-terrorism units. And then there's Dawood Zakaria, the man killed beside Singh in that bullet-riddled helix. Police allege he was tied to the network through his brother, Masood Zakaria, a man once branded the number 2 in the organization and described as NSW's most wanted fugitive. Masood was eventually arrested in Turkey in 2023, accused of plotting murders, directing a criminal group, and running large-scale drug operations. The new battlegrounds. Singh's alleged role becomes even more important when you look at the bigger picture: Sydney's latest underworld battlefield, the tobacco wars. With cigarette prices soaring to about $1.40 each thanks to heavy taxes, gangs have jumped into the black market. What used to be about drugs is now about illicit tobacco, a trade worth an estimated $5 billion a year. And this isn't just about smokes. It's about power, territory, and funding. The profits fuel major drug shipments, violent enforcers, and high-stakes kidnappings. The NSW Crime Commission has even warned that tobacco trafficking now mirrors the same brutal tactics seen in the drug trade. The violence has been staggering. In Victoria alone, almost 200 tobacco shops have been firebombed in just 18 months. The situation's gotten so bad that NSW Premier Chris Minns publicly blamed federal excise policies for creating what he called a giant black market. He's even floated the idea of pulling detectives off major crime squads just to deal with the tobacco wars. The police response. The Granville shooting wasn't just another gangland hit, it was the breaking point. NSW police responded by launching Task Force Falcon, a specialist unit built to tackle the wave of shootings, firebombings, and kidnappings gripping Sydney. The task force pulled together 13 separate investigations dating back to 2024, each one tied to the city's spiraling gang war, and their crackdown has been intense. In March 2024, Strike Force Wessex moved in on the Alameddine network, arresting 16 members and associates. They shut down 26 drug run phones, linked to more than 50,000 alleged customers. The raid swept up everyone: drill rappers, street-level dealers, and hardened criminals, showing just how wide the network's reach had become. Now, two 19-year-olds have been charged over the murder of Dawood Zakaria. Detectives don't believe they pulled the trigger themselves, but say they helped plan and carry out the hit. And with Task Force Falcon still digging, police insist the investigation is far from over. The court battle. On September 2, 2025, detectives came for Singh. He was arrested at his Austral home and hit with a list of charges that painted him as far more than a lawyer gone astray. Police accused him of taking and detaining a man for ransom, causing grievous bodily harm, supplying a commercial quantity of drugs, and knowingly directing a criminal group. When he faced court, his legal team tried to keep his name out of the headlines, pushing for a non-publication order. The magistrate wasn't having it. Singh's double life was out in the open, and the story dominated the news cycle. He was granted bail, but only under heavy restrictions: a $250,000 surety, house arrest, except for medical appointments, and the eyes of Task Force Falcon watching his every move. The bigger picture. But this isn't just about one lawyer. Singh's case shines a light on the way Sydney's underworld has changed. The old-school thugs have been replaced by something much harder to fight: criminals who look respectable, who blend in, and who use legitimate businesses as camouflage for their operations. Today's gangs aren't just selling drugs on the street. They're running encrypted communications, laundering cash through freight companies, and exploiting everything from prison security flaws to tobacco tax policies. Singh's alleged double life shows just how blurred the line has become between professional respectability and organized crime in Sydney. The continuing violence. Singh's arrest didn't stop the bloodshed. Sydney is still reeling from a wave of public shootings, and what's most alarming is how often everyday people are caught in the crossfire. The Granville attack happened at 5 p.m. on a Sunday, with families and commuters all around. That's how bold these networks have become. They don't care who's watching. Detective Superintendent Jason Box summed it up perfectly after that night. This was a shooting, a brazen shooting at 5 p.m. on Sunday in the middle of Sydney. There could have been multiple victims, innocent victims. His words show just how dangerous this underworld war has grown. The unresolved questions. As Singh waits for his day in court, the questions hanging over his case are only multiplying. How far did his alleged ties to organized crime go? Was his position as a lawyer just a mask, a way to help criminal enterprises move in the shadows? And if that's true, how many other professionals are quietly living double lives inside Sydney's underworld? What we do know is this: his case has pulled back the curtain on the way organized crime now works in the city. It isn't just gangsters with guns. It's lawyers, businesses, and entire networks that blur the line between respectability and crime. The truth about Sylvan Singh's secret life was dragged into the open in a hail of bullets on that Sunday evening in Granville. But the full story, his alleged role in Sydney's gangland wars, is still playing out in the courts. And if the past few years are anything to go by, this war is far from over.